Welcome to the Ambitious Introvert, the leading growth and development podcast for the estimated 56% of us who recharge by going inwards. Our purpose is to help you manage your social battery and own your energy so you can reach your true potential in your business, your career, or your life. I'm your host, Emma-Louise Parks, a former air traffic controller, entrepreneur, and a success coach with over 15 years experience. I've supported hundreds of introverts like you who dream big and are ready to take action towards making those dreams a reality without compromising their energy in the process. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing tips, tricks, and hacks on how to build your resilience, master your mindset, and cultivate self-leadership. Skills that will help you reach your goals without trying to be someone that you're not. We'll also be sharing valuable lessons and insights from our own personal experiences, all focused on one thing: helping you own your energy to reach your potential. Hi, and welcome to the new, slightly revamped, Ambitious Introvert Podcast. If you've been here a while, you're probably like, whoa, new intro. So it has been 3 years. The podcast was actually 3 on the 18th of October, which I completely forgot to celebrate. But really, so much has changed about how I work with clients, with what the Ambitious Introvert brand offers, and just so many things that it was time to update it. It was probably overdue to update the intro and outro, to be honest, but now felt like the right time because I wanted it to align with the new content, which you've now had a sneak peek of after listening to that first minute. So if you have been here a while as a listener, first off, thank you. If you've been here since day one, thank you so much, because that's 3 years and that is significant. But you are probably a business owner who at some point tuned in for content around business and mindset, which was a big part of my messaging for a long time. And now, while I have made some changes to my coaching packages and to the brand in general, how I work with clients, that's changed. But I assure you that the show will still be absolutely relevant to you in your entrepreneurial journey. So don't think, oh my God, she's not talking to business owners anymore, or she's not talking about online business. There's nothing for me to have here. I promise you, this is still going to be absolutely relevant to everything that you do while you're growing your business. So while this has been happening, these changes have been kind of percolating since about May. I've been taking some steps behind the scenes towards them, some small steps, some big steps. But recently I shared these changes with my current clients to, reassure them that how I work with most of them will not change in the slightest, but to let them know what I'm going to be offering going forwards. And unanimously, I think they all said, oh, please do a podcast episode about it. So here it is. Here is the podcast episode about the changes that I'm making and to let you know what you can expect from the Ambitious Introvert Podcast going forwards. So let's start with what's changing and why. The main change is that I'm no longer offering business strategy. Instead, I am really going full circle and back to, ironically, the thing that I initially set my business up doing, which is success and personal development coaching, which I think was actually my very first title as a coach, which is crazy. So before, I really focused on, that all-important mindset. But now the real focus for me is on our energy. If I have learned anything from 5 years in business through a pandemic as an introvert and 17 years as an air traffic controller, it's that our energy is the fundamental piece that everything is built on. There is no escaping it. It's like you can't put a skyscraper up on shaky foundations, and it's absolutely the same for your success. You can't build this amazing business or a really high-flying career and truly reach your potential without having that energy piece set down. It just doesn't work. It's been shown to me literally dozens and dozens of times through my own journey and experiences, and through those of my clients as well, that it is so vital to work with your energy rather than against it as an introvert. Now, most traditional leadership and productivity advice, whether that is for executives in corporate or whether it's aimed more at entrepreneurs, the high majority of it is very, very extrovert leaning. And it's usually the exact opposite of what we need to do as introverts. I mean, case in point for this is, the 5 a.m. club and get up and have this hour-long morning routine and do all of these things. And for most of us, that's just going to deplete the energy that we wake up with, and we're going to be left with none for the day. For extroverts, that's great because they need to build their energy. They wake up with their empty cup and they need to fill it up by doing things. We wake up, hopefully, with our cup full of energy, and every little interaction we have and everything that we do and everywhere that we focus our attention just gives a little bit away. So we really have to be so intentional and so mindful. So yeah, getting up at 5 a.m. and doing 20 minutes of cardio and, 20 minutes of something else and then, running around the block or doing whatever else could potentially be the absolute worst thing for your energy as an introvert. So that's really what all of this comes down to. It comes down to the fact that it's seeming like, from the latest figures, over half of the population, and yet most of what we've been taught and most of what we've been conditioned to do is for under half of the population, which is crazy. So why the change? This feels really big, actually. This episode feels really big to share. I always try to be super transparent about my business and things like that. If you've been around a while, it doesn't come naturally to me. That's why I'm not a lover of social media. I don't love to share everything, not because I'm spiteful or greedy. It takes effort. It takes energy, right? So I have to be very, very mindful of that. But this feels like an important thing to share. And I hope that it will be very permission given for a lot of you and also to help you understand why I'm changing. So one of the things I realized, and this went back to kind of May, I was so lit up when I'm supporting clients in really owning their energy. So whether that's, mastering their mindset, growing their self-leadership skills, leaning into the energetics of business. And not only was I so lit up by it and loving it, but those clients are the ones who are getting the absolute most value from their coaching. And they're seeing it translate into literally life-changing, tangible results. I have spent a lot more time offline this year. I've taken 2 hiatuses from the podcast where I've batch recorded and another where I did back catalogue re-releases, which I hope you enjoyed, by the way. And I have been very intentional throughout the summer. I really ran on a bare minimum of clients. I didn't take on any new business, all of these things to really get outside and really get offline. And that's not to say there's anything wrong with online, but I really put my heart and soul into building this business through a pandemic and 2 very strict lockdowns here in the UK. And I spent way more time in front of the screen than I wanted to. Now, spending that time offline, I have been able to connect with so many people that are in other fields, people away from the online space, people from all backgrounds and walks of life. And I've had it reflected to me over and over again how it's not just business owners that can benefit from the type of coaching that I offer and the type of support that I give, but that introverted professionals, executives and leaders in so many different fields and roles can also get so much benefit from it. So that was really exciting to me. That's something that I hadn't really considered. And it felt very, very good. It felt very right that it should then be shared further and wider. So while I will absolutely still be supporting business owners and entrepreneurs, there is no doubt, but I'll be supporting them in the development of themselves rather than with the micro strategy of their business. So what I will say is this felt extremely scary. I have built a very recognizable brand in a very specific niche. And of course, it's tempting not to want to rock the boat and not to disrupt that success. But my intuition, my sacral that was so lit up by this were like screaming at me to follow this new direction. And I sat with it for a while and it just was so obvious. It just became like, I can't not do this. So I took the leap. And it's meant some big shifts. It's meant a considerable dip in income, which was well considered and planned for. It's meant a pretty significant change to my marketing strategy, but it's been so worth it. And already I've had so many great opportunities materialize, and my first few clients outside of the online business space, which has been extremely exciting, extremely fulfilling to start supporting people in that capacity. So the main changes that I've made to the business are stepping away from my Facebook group, which was older than the podcast. It was over 3 years old. I've actually transferred ownership to Hayley LaRose. Hayley is a friend and she has been a guest on the podcast. You may remember her. Because she's a fellow introvert, I knew that she would keep the vibe. Now, I adored that Facebook group. I loved it. It's such a great community. There's almost 1,000 people in there, and it has such a great energy. There's some fantastic people. I love how people have connected and collaborated from there. But ultimately, it didn't align with the future of the brand. It didn't make sense as part of this new vision. And if I'd have kept it, it would have been for sentimental reasons, which, to be congruent with how I would coach and to stay in integrity, I would challenge a client if they were keeping something from a sentimental point of view that didn't actually serve them at that time or serve their business. So I couldn't close it. I couldn't bring myself to close it because it just felt so wrong. And luckily, Hayley was interested in taking over. So she's renamed it the Quiet Confidence Club, Stand Out Online Your Way. So do go to Facebook. And if you're not already a member, go and join and give her some love. I'm still very active in there, and I really wish Hayley all of the success with it. I've also decided to step away from Instagram, which is also quite emotional because I built that account in early 2019. And what I will say is the platform was a very different place then. It was extremely different. I am so grateful for the audience that I found on there. Some of my closest friends now are people that I connected with on Instagram. In fact, I went out with 4 amazing women yesterday, and 3 of them I connected with on Instagram back in those early days. So my heart feels, again, a little bit sentimental about it, but the platform is very different. I find it quite tiring. And from a business point of view and a metrics point of view, the time to revenue ratio, the ROI it doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. I have very, very little business come through Instagram, unlike this podcast, which is accountable last quarter for over 50% of my business in total and was accountable for 100% of new business, which is phenomenal. But Instagram, ultimately, it just didn't make the cut. I had to take stock of my resources and whether it made sense to do. So the account will still live on and I'll still share the odd story on there, but it will no longer be my main marketing focus as it was for so long. And that's okay. So the next big change is I have said goodbye to my signature program, the Ambitious Introvert Academy. I've just wrapped up the cohort this week, actually, that began in April. Now, this was a live program which I loved, taking new entrepreneurs through and seeing them go from an idea to a fully functioning business. It was so satisfying, and I had some amazing people go through the program. But again, ultimately, it doesn't make sense with the future of the brand. I've also closed the Quiet Power Mastermind after 4 rounds. Oh, it was my first ever group container back in 2020. It has been by far my most profitable offer other than one-on-one coaching. And all of this to say, I'm sharing this because these were big decisions. You know, this wasn't taken lightly and it wasn't easy. there has been a lot of grieving because a lot of time and effort has gone into building up those programs and the marketing of them and supporting people through them. And I think it's only natural that closing the door on something like that will feel sad. I have grieved. There have been tears. But ultimately, I've had to trust myself and know that just because it felt hard and emotional, well, it was normal that it was going to feel hard and emotional because it was an end. I was saying goodbye. But the difficulty and the emotions were not a reason not to do it. And that is what I mean when I talk about self-leadership and self-trust and all of those things that help build our resilience and mean that we can reach our potential, where we're not swayed by those external circumstances and we're able to sit in the discomfort and be a human, but also see it for what it is and know when it's time to say goodbye. So that's everything that's going away. You may be thinking, oh my gosh, what's left? So obviously, of course, I still offer one-on-one coaching. One-on-one coaching will never go away because I adore one-on-one. So that does not change. However, it will be much more about supporting the development of the person than offering business strategy. Of course, if you're an entrepreneur and you want to work one-on-one with me, we can brainstorm business ideas. I can reflect things back to you and I can give you a kind of big picture overview and look for the gaps in your business. All of that I still have the capacity to do. I have 5 years experience. I'm a certified business consultant, but the coaching itself will be much more focused on the support of you to really step into yourself as that quiet power leader. And speaking of quiet power, rather than a mastermind, Quiet Power is becoming a range of development programs which will be focused on both self-leadership and leadership. And they'll be open to both professionals and business owners. And more details of those will be coming soon, but it won't be a mastermind in the true sense of the word. But that brand under the umbrella of the Ambitious Introvert had to live on because Quiet Power just, I think, sums up everything that I believe about introverts and everything that I want them to be able to achieve. So I'm very excited to be taking that in a slightly new direction that's not about business. I also have a few new offers that are in progress behind the scenes. Probably more details of those, I would say, probably later this quarter or maybe early 2024. And I'm also excited to be focusing more on speaking and giving workshops on introversion. So reaching out and supporting those modern progressive businesses who really understand the importance of developing their employees and their team in a way that fosters their greatness as an introvert, and knowing that bog standard, leadership one-on-one is not going to work for everyone. So I'm really excited to be able to spread this word that I think as entrepreneurs, we're often so self-aware and so into personal development and into our own growth that doesn't always translate in other industries or in organizations. So I'm very, very excited to be stepping into this role where I'm able to share that with people and have an impact on those ambitious introverts in those places. So all of that to say, thank you for being here and listening to me opening my heart and sharing all of the details. Please stay listening. It will still be relevant, and I'm looking forward to providing the same kind of value as I have for the last 3 years, albeit through a slightly different lens. And I truly hope that you will love the new content. If you do, please consider sharing the podcast with any of your introverted friends, family, and colleagues outside of the online business space. Now that I'm opening up the content to be so much broad appeal in it, then if you can think of those people who would benefit from knowing how to own their energy too, then please consider sharing it with them. I would be so appreciative of more introverts getting to understand how they can really step into their greatness. So there you go. I think I've covered everything. I really hope you stick around. If you are new, then welcome, and you know exactly what to expect from now on. But I will see you next week with my very first guest on the New Look Show. And tune in to find out what my new closing question is going to be, because it has changed. Thank you so much for being here on the journey, and I will see you next week. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode. I hope that you're feeling expanded to what's possible for you, motivated to take action, and inspired about how you can start to own your energy. I share even more tools and resources on my Introverts Only email newsletter. By signing up, you not only get early access to the Ambitious Introvert products and services, but you also get brand new podcast episodes delivered straight to your inbox every Monday, meaning you'll never miss your weekly dose of introvert-friendly inspiration. Sign up now at theambitiousintrovert.com/newsletter or click the link in the show notes. See you next week.